happy Thursday, whatever time of day it is for you. I have no idea where in the world you are, but it's probably a different time for all of us. It's morning for me, so I'm happy to get my day started with you guys. We've got a couple things on the agenda that we're looking forward to sharing with you today. Just some talk about some of the new ST tokens on the horizon and a little bit about some props that have gone up this week and what those implications might be, interesting data points. And then I have just a brief community update about a collaboration that we are currently a part of right now. So I want to share the details with you guys so you can be a part of that if you're interested in doing that. But I'm going to pass the mic to Vishal for now. And if you have questions about anything that he's saying or commentary, please, we invite you to share your thoughts, even if it's just like an emoji in the chat. It helps us to kind of know where you're at with whatever it is that we are sharing with you.
Thanks so much, Summer. I am excited to be here. Also, love all of the emojis in the chat. Yeah, maybe let's jump in. We have just a few kind of quick updates from last week, but then also definitely open to questions, or we can talk whatever whatever is on everyone's minds. Yeah, so let's start. So the first kind of major update is next week we will be changing the Stride incentive program. So we currently did like a 60-day run after the latest incentive diversification. There's a few kind of small changes to the incentive program. One, the Statum Atom rewards are going down slightly, I think by 1/6 roughly. The reason for this is that we're getting protocol-owned liquidity from Cosmos Hub on Astroport. And so we thought we need a little bit less liquidity on Statum Atom. And also it's kind of an experiment to see what yields will compress to and how much demand there is for ST Atom. So it's a little bit of a data gathering exploration. This will be 30 days. I'm reducing incentives slightly in other pools as well. But again, it shouldn't be a major change. The one really major one, though, is ST Luna, where the rewards are going down quite a bit. We haven't seen as much adoption of ST Luna, so we thought we would reduce it a little bit. But we're also exploring other options to get Luna liquidity, like protocol-owned liquidity. So we are kind of pursuing that, and as a result, thought we would decrease incentives a little bit right now. Next thing, ST Comdex is releasing next week. Don't tell anyone because it hasn't been officially announced, although I think it's been very heavily hinted at. So I don't know if it's that much of a surprise anymore. But we're targeting next Wednesday. We're in the process of doing kind of the final test. So just so everyone knows, the way that we kind of deploy ST tokens is one, do a really thorough testing pipeline to avoid any sort of unforeseen issues. We do like a fully local test where we spin up a bunch of blockchains locally, connect to them, and then run all of our standard tests in those blockchains. We passed that on Comdex. Now what we're doing is a local to mainnet test where we connect a local Stride testnet with the Comdex mainnet. We run through all the tests there, and then we do a testnet, and then a mainnet to mainnet. So we're just in the process of finishing testing, but all looks on track to launch next Wednesday. Fingers crossed. And again, don't leak that alpha because I think it hasn't been shared out yet. Yeah. Next, pretty exciting update is Carbon is added ST Luna as an Alliance asset. I think this is the first time a Stride LST is being used with the Alliance module. So maybe just a quick refresher on the Alliance module. It's a module developed by Terra ecosystem that basically allows you to take an LST from any other chain and stake it on another chain. And it allows kind of like this economic alliance that will connect two different ecosystems. So if you have like Carbon, for example, you now can stake ST Luna on Carbon and you'll get some Carbon rewards. And Carbon will take your ST Luna rewards. So, it's kind of a interesting new model of it. A lot of potential to become really big. And it's kind of like a spin on mesh security or interchain security. So curious to see where that goes, but Carbon will be the first Stride LST that allows this. Next major update on incentives. There is a prop on Osmosis right now to allocate 5% of all Osmosis incentives to LST pools. So this isn't just the Stride pools, but it'd be all LST pools. I think distributed roughly according to volume on the pool. So this prop hasn't passed yet, but I think it's been received pretty well. I haven't checked in on it in the last day, but yesterday it I think was passing, or it was like voted yes. So we'll see how it goes today, but I think hopefully it should pass. So keep an eye on that. Pretty exciting. And I think we'll represent kind of the start and maybe like the next phase of Stride incentives or LST incentives, where it's not just by the actual chain itself, but lots of other projects I think are starting to realize the value of LSTs in their ecosystem, and I think we'll start seeing buy-in from a lot more. One cool data point that happened this last week is I think Stride has got a lot more IBC volume. We've seen on Mappa Zones. So I think Stride is now the second most TVL in the last 7 days transfer IBC. Kind of a cool little stat. There's a lot of reasons I think LSTs have more IBC volume than other applications, just given a lot of things have to pass through the LST. It's still a cool stat nonetheless. And then I'll give it up to Summer for some community updates as well. And then we can jump into maybe the questions in the chat.
Thank you so much for that overview. I feel like people have a lot to say about that, which is exciting. And yeah, guys, the main update from me, I just wanted to share a little bit about the collaboration that we are doing on Zeely right now with DiaDAO. They are basically a blockchain Oracle project for LSTs. And so they reached out to us and were interested in doing a partnership to sort of help educate our communities about each other's projects. And so currently on our Zeely quest board, there is a quest line that is active that will essentially support you in onboarding onto DiaDAO's social media platforms and then test your knowledge very briefly of that project. We have trivia night in the DiaDAO server on Friday at 6 p.m. UTC. And then we also have trivia night in our server at 12 p.m. UTC on Friday with the same theme as the entire collaboration has been. Like everything that we host will be about DiaDAO, so that way our users can learn about them, and vice versa. Everything they host will be about Stride, so their users can learn about us. If you have questions about it, you can just message me in the general chat. The quest ends on June 5th though, so please make sure by June 5th you have done this. And one more time, the trivia is tomorrow, Friday, in both of our servers. And I'll drop the links in the chat before the end of this call for you. Let's go visit some of the questions that are in the chat. I see some interesting discussion and commentary on the incentives program and ST tokens and staking rewards questions. So we can walk it back a little bit to the first question from Sneed Pilled. Has Stride considered using a portion of the ST asset revenue to fund a burn auction module where you can only purchase the assets with STRD that is then burned?
This is a great question, Sneed. So first off, Stride, is decentralized protocol. So if someone proposes to governance and passes, will get implemented. So we'll want to make that clear. Like this is just our opinion, but ultimately token holders are the ones who decide. I'm open to a burn auction, but as a staker, I'm curious, like, would you prefer a burn auction to just getting paid the revenue? It feels like for stakers, getting the revenue directly is better than it being burned, because burn is kind of like a distribution of the revenue to all token holders, as opposed to just stakers. So it feels better for stakers to go directly to them, although, I haven't thought about it too deeply, so open either way. But if you also want to, yeah, you can do both, but I'm saying let's say Stride is like $1 million revenue. If you give 500K to stakers, 500K to like the burn auction, it feels like as a staker, I'd rather have the 500K and the burn auction also go to me as a staker. Like just because it goes directly to me as opposed to being distributed to all token holders. Yeah, we're definitely open to it. One interesting fact, I checked this about an hour ago. I think the Stride real yield, so just the revenue from ST tokens right now is I think 3.7%. It's not like insanely high, but it's been growing, and given we're in a bear market and tokens are kind of going down, it's kind of exciting. I think 3.7% real yield, and growing every day. So a nice little fun fact there. I see, Steve. You also had one question up above that we might have missed that says who we adding to Stride next. This is a great question. So the very next one is ST Comdex, but after ST Comdex, we're pretty open. So curious what you all think should be the next one we're adding. A few ones that kind of come to mind are Axelar has expressed interest. Som has as well. There's one other. Goric is another one that we're considering. So those are probably our top 3 options, but we're really open to anything. So express your preferences. One that people have been asking about for a while is ST Kuji. I think that one is a little bit farther away because they have real revenue. So we still need to build a way on Stride to get that real revenue into like the base token. We're working on that and we should have that soon, but that's a little update there. Yeah, then let's go on to the next question.
Moons asked, do people staking ST Luna on Carbon get SWTH staking rewards?
Yes, great question. So I haven't checked Carbon in particular, but I'm pretty sure they do, because I think this is how the Alliance module works. So I believe the way it works is when you stake your ST Luna on Carbon, the protocol will take a tiny amount of your ST Luna every epoch, like every day or so. but then it'll also give you Sweet staking rewards. And I'm not sure if Sweet is just real yield or inflationary yield. I don't know which of the two, but whatever yield they give you, you'll get that, but then you'll lose a little bit of ST with that. But on net, you should be making more than you are losing. The amount you're making, I think, is going to depend on how many people stake ST Luna. So I believe the way they do it is they fix a certain amount of ST Luna that gets burned, or sorry, gets taken by the protocol. So let's say 5% a year of your ST Luna is going to get taken by the protocol. So no matter how much ST Luna is staked, that's how much is going to get taken. But then they'll fix an amount of Sweet inflation to go to ST Luna. So it'll be like 10% of all Sweet inflation goes to ST Luna. And so depending on how much ST Luna is staked, that'll affect the APY there. I don't know what the numbers are exactly for Carbon, but it should be on chain.
Yes, the call will be both recorded and it will be summarized for you. It'll be available on our community YouTube account, which we can drop the link to, and then also on our community updates Medium blog. Also, I'm just going to be completely transparent here. I've never heard anyone say Sweeth out loud. I just read it, you know what I mean? So in my head, it looks like, it looks like Sweeth. But out loud, I'm like, oh, people probably say every letter of that. But then you said Sweeth, and then so now I'm like, wow, people actually say it that way.
I've also never heard it said out loud. I've only ever seen it read. So I'm guessing Sweet, but I actually don't know. If anyone knows differently, please say so.
Okay. Cool. Yeah, I was like, SWTH does not roll off the tongue very nicely. Sweet is way cooler. But yeah, I see we've got a couple people looking to come on stage. So let's bring you guys on up to stage. We got TS Ray 11. I'm bringing you up right now.
So thank you very much for this update. I have a question in terms of the ST tokens we are accruing because we are staking Stride. So there's tiny amount of STRM, tiny amount of other assets like STF, MOS, Injective, and others. It is crazy that if you want to cash them out, you need to send it to various other places. So the first question obviously is, can Stride offer some kind of solution where there is an option to convert all rewards into USDC or something like that? Because right now it is royal pain in the backside to figure out. Thanks. So that's the first question. I'll ask second after you answer first.
Yeah, this is a great question. So totally understand that this is really painful. And we've been thinking about how to solve this. So one potential way that we've been thinking through, so the simplest way that we might get to quickly is to offer all of these pools on Osmosis. Like in maybe like small sizes, so like 5K or 10K pools for each of the ST assets in Osmosis, and then put a way on the front end to IBC transfer everything to Osmosis in one transaction, and then one more transaction to sell everything on those pools in Osmosis. For the base assets, then maybe a few more transactions than USDC. I think that'll probably be like 4 to 5 clicks, but it'll get to the final USDC case. We're probably not that far away from having that. We've just been a little swamped recently on front end work, and we're trying to look for like a little more front end help. But I think that is possible, and we have heard a lot of people request this. I think it's on a roadmap. The other option we've been considering is a reward to auction. So when you're on Stride, like you can say, hey, I have all these ST rewards. I'm gonna go convert them to USDC. I'll let anyone pay me USDC for this basket. And you can set like a min USDC price. Be like, I know this basket is worth like 20 USDC. I want to sell it for at least 19. So we've also been working on that approach because it's also useful for a few other things that we're doing. But the thing we're not quite sure yet is like how good the searchers are. Like how good, are people actually going to bid for this and take the end result? If you guys have been seeing all the memes about intents online, this actually I think is kind of like an intent, although it's not intended to be or anything like that. But yeah, anyways, long story short, we are working on this. My guess is this is like 1 to 1.5 months out, but should be coming soon.
So again, not so thanks again. Not very comforting answer, to be honest with you, because I am thinking in terms of, let's say in a year's time we'll have let's say 50 chains. That is a very humongous task if you're getting 50 ST tokens. And yeah, so I don't know. We need to think carefully, and then there might be a better option if a user clicks straight away that I don't want any ST token. Stride can take a small cut. Actually, it will give revenue actually, and then just give me USDC directly rather than giving me ST tokens. I don't know, something like that.
No, for sure, yeah. So I think what you're describing is the second approach that we're thinking about is basically allowing the tokens to be auctioned on chain. So I totally agree. I think we definitely want this to be the case sooner rather than later. Like it's becoming overwhelming to transact out of all these FT tokens. But I think it'll that version, I guess, is going to take us a few more months of on chain dev, just because auctions are like kind of new on chain. But the first version we should be able to have in like month and a half.
Second question, moving on, I don't want to dwell on it. I think it's a good pain point to solve, and it's a good pain to have. Second question is obviously with replicated security. So currently, I think we are getting around 13% in Stride, and we are getting ST tokens as rewards. The share to the Cosmos Hub, is that cut coming from the Stride staker income? And after we fully use Cosmos Hub, how we continue to? So why should I stake Stride, for example, after replicated security comes? And in terms of money, the cut to Hub, where that cut comes from? Thanks.
Yeah, absolutely. Great question. So yeah, the revenue of the hub comes from the staker pool. So like stakers will pay like instead of like the chain pays out like let's say $100 every epoch to stakers. 15 of that will go to the hub. So it'll reduce staker revenue. But as a staker, why would you keep staking? I think you still receive 85% of the revenue, so you still have a pretty large reason to want to stake your tokens. And the reason like we're still keeping the validators around and people will still stake on Velos infrastructure is the goal in the next but like this year whenever mesh security is done is for Stride to start transitioning to some sort of like mesh security model where it still primarily takes revenue from the hub, but it could also start selling security to other chains or also renting from osmosis or kind of moving to this more kind of complicated model. So in the intermediate, you'll still be able to stake your tokens and or receive most of the revenue, and validators will become governators. So they don't have to run very much infrastructure or anything, but they're expecting to still vote and participate in the system.
So there is still value accrued to Stride long term, and then yeah, it's just I'm a bit confused on all of this. So is there a place where we can find full documentation to get educated about this? And if you guys can highlight this, I think it's a pretty important distinction and education to have here. So that'd be really appreciated. Thank you. Thanks. That's all. Thanks.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'll post a link right now to the Cosmos Hub forum that I think should have had some information about this kind of when Stride was first being proposed. It should also be on the Stride Commonwealth. I don't know if you've taken a look at that. I think we are also working on having better docs built out, but I actually don't know what the latest data that is. Summer might know more than me here.
I think what will be really good for a blog here or a Medium article or an update is why we are moving to Hub for security and why we should still continue holding our Stride bags, because it's going to continue to accrue value doing X, Y, Z, and so on and so forth. Thanks.
Totally. Yeah. That's a really good point, and I'll bring this up to our team so we can get a blog post on this. But maybe like the TLDR, and we'll definitely write the blog post as well. The TLDR is just the token receives still most of the revenue, so 85% revenue goes to the token, and in return, Stride becomes like an ICS chain, so it becomes part of the AEZ. So we have a few really important benefits I think are really good for Stride long-term growth. So the first is a direct injection of $5 million of Atom liquidity. So this is just good TVL, but it also reduces the amount that Stride has spent on incentives and encourages kind of adoption of SG Atom. But then also more applications kind of being built in the AEZ, so on Neutron or on Stride or Duality or any other chains. I think we'll default to be using ST Atom, working on the ST Atom to be accepted as like fee payments within the AEZ, so it just kind of like permeates the acceptance. But then also as a potential user of LSTs, I think it's really compelling to want to use a ICS LST as opposed to another LST. So if I'm trying to choose between Stride or ST Atom versus like Z Atom or whatever else it is, I might prefer to use ST Atom because I know it has the same trust properties as the Cosmos Hub. So my tokens are a little bit safer. So I think it's quite bullish for Stride. We're moving into an ICS zone. And also quite bullish for the hub. I think it's just a truly win-win situation. But really great idea, and we will write a blog post about this and hopefully post it soon. Yeah, appreciate the session.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, any more questions? Oh, Neutron airdrop. Yeah, I see that. So quick question from Shaw256 about the Neutron airdrop. So I believe ST atom holders should be counted in the Neutron airdrop, but the snapshot was taken at the same time as the other Neutron snapshot was. So I think it was last December. So if you're an ST atom holder last December and your tokens were on one of the chains that they snapshotted, which I think should have accounted for like 95+% of all ST atom. I think it was like Stride, Osmosis, Nitron, maybe a couple other chains. It should be counted. Yeah, I see one more question from Shop256, which is the theme in talks with Arch, AKT, SOM teams with regards to possible ST assets? Great question. So we are in talks with the SOM team. We're testing the Stride like ST tokens against SOM right now. Akash, I believe, still needs ICA enabled, so that they still have to do a chain upgrade before that can be deployed, before ST AKT can be deployed. So we have spoken with the Archway team, but we haven't yet tested the code base against them. I think they were still working on adding ICA or something, if I last remember. But I think when they're close to our mainnet launch, we definitely should talk to them. They're a really great team and a really exciting project, and we should launch ST Arch. Do you know when their mainnet launch is? Within a month? Okay. Okay, that's exciting. That actually really helpful that you brought that up. We will go talk to the team and see if we can get ST Arch at launch. It would be really helpful, I think. Or really cool. Yeah. Any other questions, team?
I'm seeing some commentary in the chat says you could, but I don't see the point, as at that point you just not allocate the revenues to the burn auction. The auction would only exist to drive up scarcity, and Stride is clearly interested in driving up scarcity as we are already scheduled to reduce inflation aggressively.
Yeah, that's a good point, Sneed. Let me think more about this, and feel free to also post on Commonwealth about this or drop some chats in Discord. I saw you talking about this in Training Dungeon a while back too. Let's say half the tokens are being staked. Like, I would get twice as much if I paid the reward to stakers as opposed to burn it. But I can also see why, like, narratively it's good to burn it. Like, it looks good. It's good to have like deflationary pressure on the token. So I could go either way. Ultimately, if token holders are interested in it, like, we would obviously implement it. Yeah, maybe last question. TS Rye, what's the plan to make Stride demand go through the roof? A lot of different things. Yeah, so a few quick things. So one, ICS, I think is going to be really, really huge. So just if you're evaluating a provider to be an LST, especially if you're like a kind of a whale, so when thinking about like the really big institutions or community pools or foundations that might liquid stake, we found security is often the primary thing they care about, more so than UX or fees or anything else. They really care about security. And so ICS, I think, will be a really good opportunity for Stride to really take a security next level. Stride already has a lot of audits and, like, I think pretty interesting features on chain to make it more secure. But with ICS, it's just a really amazing narrative that forms around the security of ST tokens. So I think that's going to hopefully bring in a lot more adoption. Second really big thing is LSM. So LSM, like right now, if you want to liquid stake, we only have access to the liquid atom market, which is like 40% of all atom. But a lot of that is kind of locked away or like isn't really being used actively. So the total amount of atom to be liquefied is quite low. But the amount of staked atom is huge. It's like 60% FTP is staked. And after LSM goes live on the hub, all of that atom can be onboarded onto Stride for ST tokens. And we've seen a lot of people kind of talk about this, how they have staked atom, but they don't want to go unstake it because it's going to take them like a month to get it. They're going to lose out on staking rewards. And so, I think that's been a big impediment for people. And talked to a few different funds. It totally makes sense. Like it just feels like you're missing out on, like 2-3% interest on stake, and like why go through that pain? So LSM, I think, will really allow us to onboard a lot more people who are interested in. Some of them might be interested in using the tokens to DeFi, but some of them might just be seeing the market volatility and might want this opportunity to be able to trade out of their stake position anytime. So I think we'll see a mixture of both those people. So we're in final reviews with Zaki and Jehan and more of the Atom devs. I believe they're reviewing it right now. And after this, I think it should get proposed to governance soon. So I think it is in the last step. It's like all the code is there. It's just under review. And Stride is one of many kind of working on this. But I believe people are pitched in to make an audit. So then that's getting kicked off. So we're in like the final steps. It's just now quite 100% done on the dev side. But I think it should be coming next like month and a half is my guess. been a really big effort for the last 2 or 3 months. And so it's really just coming to the very end, kind of the governance phase. The last thing I think is going to be really bullish. We've been working a lot on integrating with all of the major upcoming kind of DeFi potential hubs in Cosmos. So, there are a lot of really good places to go. You see Fire right now, like Umi, Osmosis, Mars, Nitron, etc. But there's a lot of really exciting ones coming up, like, say, Neutron, Celestia, DYDX. There's all these things outcoming, and we're working really hard to establish relationships with all these teams to hopefully make FT tokens kind of the foundation of DeFi there. And then the last thing we're working on to hopefully really increase key demand is just make the UX a lot better. So I'm working with teams like Skip, but also Strangelove and a lot of other teams to make the UX of using Stride much better and make it all one click, make it so you can onboard onto FT tokens right from ETH through Squid. We're working on a lot of things to make the general experience better. Yeah, DYDX is going to be really exciting, so we're looking forward to it. Anyways, yeah, a lot of things in the roadmap that I think are going to be pretty bullish. It's been a lot of kind of grinding the last 3 months as we get a lot of these like ICS and LSM and a lot of these other features over the line. But I think they're all coming to fruition now. So hopefully next few months will be really great. Actually, the last few months have been pretty well too. I think TVL has been growing pretty steadily. So hopefully it keeps continuing.
Wow, Vishal, that was a really exciting, series of updates, and also just cool to kind of think conceptually about like Stride's sort of philosophy of growth, I guess you could say, and like what that looks like for us right now over the next few weeks. But yeah, guys, I'm gonna call it here because I know that we're a little bit over time. So if you have additional questions that you want to discuss or talk about, like I said, the general chat is a great place to do that because we have very active and present lifeguards. I can always chime in as well as needed, but we do look forward to hearing from you next week. Have a great day, you guys. It's been awesome. Thank you so much, Vishal, for all of the alpha today. We'll see you next time.